It's another day. It's another week. It's another divisional playoff game against a team that can put up some points too. We're going to get into how do they do that? What's the secret weapon? I think Seth laid it out very, very well this week. I think you guys are enjoy this. Let's get after it. Welcome to RGR Football. Hey there, Mr. Kaiser. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little under the weather, but you know what? It was worth it to be at Arrowhead. Which, by the way, for people that are concerned about such things, I was not sick when I went to Arrowhead. I got sick Tuesday, so I'm probably, no matter how Minnesotan you are, being outside for 4 or 5 hours in the cold. Although I maybe I should have worn my coat the whole time, but I was getting kind of warm. So I was out there without my hat and coat most of the time because I had a couple layers on, so a sweatshirt was good.
And so now you have a head cold. Amazing.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm pretty sure I got it from my wife because, she's been sick and, she obviously can't stay away from me. So, I should not have said that.
Reality.
But we're live, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, you do have 17
lots
children.
Of kids.
I think we all put the numbers together.
Yeah, there's no secrets in this live stream. It was totally worth it, though. Arrowhead was rocking. It was a great game. It was kind of almost like euphoric by the time they got to when they got to the big man touchdown, which was such a total when the refs called back, rightfully so, Hill's touchdown because he was short. But Andy Reid is like, fine. Okay, fine.
You want me to do it? You want me to do it?
Well, it was the same thing with that Kelsey touchdown throw. That was a direct result to the Steelers still. And it was ridiculous because it wasn't that late in the game. But it was like, how dare you keep trying to come back? What are you doing? Knock it off. And so Andy was like, fine. Because people in the stands like, pull Mahomes out. Put Henny in. I was like, nope. Andy Reid is in full-fledged nope. We're running up the score here a little bit, which is nice to see from him.
Burn it down a little bit.
Yeah, burn it down a little bit. Leave no doubt. They saw what the Bills did to the Patriots. It matters a little bit, sending a little bit of a message of their own.
Yeah, I'm with you. Folks, we're going to get into your questions. We're going to be a little bit shorter tonight because I have parent-teacher conferences. We're going to get that done. Stevie re-up today. Stevie, one of our contributors, re-up today. That's great. You can see him tomorrow on the Huddle. I think they're going to have an excellent show for you. It's playoff-style media presentation this week, so we're going to get into it. I know you guys have questions, so as much as we're going to talk about Seth's article and where he's seeing the secret weapons are, we're going to answer your questions tonight too. I see the super chats coming in. Thank you. We will get to all of the super chats. If you want to support the channel, folks, that's the easiest way. You just click that little $sign in the chat and that'll let you, ask a question, make a comment. Please do both or either as you do the super chat for whatever dollar amount that you choose. Just please let me get you something for it. If you want to help even more, you can grab some of the new gear over there in the RGR store. Maybe we'll have something even newer, Seth-oriented here in a little bit. I don't know. We're going to work on that. Right? All kinds of little nuggets.
Yeah, look at that.
I really want to go back to your article just a couple of days ago about speed. And it's always been something that's been out there. And if you've grown up in this division, watch these teams, speed kills has been something that Al Davis said for years and years and years. It was never more evident that what the Chiefs have lacked in the run game has been that little extra explosive speed around the edge. And are you to the point now that you feel we have to expect that from McKinnon every ballgame at this point?
I don't think you have to expect him to make so many plays like that, but I think he should get the opportunity to try. It's just such a different offense. And that's something that we've talked about with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is that he's a good running back. He's got a skill set that I think is unique and can certainly help the offense. But with the way that they're currently calling plays, the types of runs they're currently calling, the types of routes that they're currently calling, and just as important, the types of routes they're not currently calling for the running backs, McKinnon being not as perhaps quick in his routes, that doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't need to be as good a route runner as Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on like deeper routes, because they're not using him in the vertical passing game. You know what does matter? Being a 4-4 guy instead of a 4-6 guy. And 40 times are overrated in a lot of ways, but you can really see that 0.2 seconds on the field with Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon and with everyone else too, because Derek Gore's a 4-6 guy, Darrell Williams a 4-7 guy. These are not speed backs, and you can see it in races to the sideline, in exploding through holes. Like, there was one run right up the middle where, honestly, if he were a 1/10 of a second slower, Watt closes in, pursuing down the line, probably at least gets an arm on him and slows him down enough to maybe shorten it. And he also explodes the second level, where Joe Tooney's guy manages to get free of Tooney down the field, but misses by, I mean, we're talking, it's less than a 1/10 of a second. A 1/10 of a second in the NFL is an eternity. And you see what McKinnon adds in terms of that speed. And the thing with McKinnon is he has some weaknesses that Edwards-Helaire and Gore and Williams don't have, but those weaknesses don't matter that much in the Chiefs offense. What matters in the Chiefs offense is your ability, your speed. That's a big deal, which makes the Edwards-Helaire pick, since they haven't altered that role, they could have just taken Taylor. Like,
no, you had to go say it, didn't you?
Well, they could have. Like, if they're going to keep them in the role that they're currently in, they should have just kept Taylor. It's long been mystifying to me. Okay, are you going to use Edwards-Helaire like he was used at LSU? If that, fair enough, he makes sense as the pick. A wide receiver probably makes more sense regardless. But doing the exact stuff they're doing, Taylor makes way more sense. But that's not Edwards-Helaire's fault. I mean, he's a good player. He just has a specific role. But anyway, with McKinnon, you can see that. And that's something they've been missing without Damian Williams, who struggled with injuries, couldn't really necessarily be counted on for the full year to carry the load. Similar to McKinnon, his whole career, McKinnon's not a guy that's really been like a full load carry. He's a guy that like has come in, like when he had those first couple big plays, my dad, who went to the game with me, which was awesome, great memory, lifelong Vikings fan, he kind of adopted the Chiefs for a night, which is cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. You know, I love spending time with my dad. He's my hero, and it was really cool. You know, getting to spend time doing a road trip as adults and eating so much barbecue. It was great. And then, you know, hey, by the way, thank you. If any of you who are in the comments are some of the people that came up and said hi, you know, you made me look like a pretty big deal in front of my dad, and that was fun. He almost cried. It was nice. Although the older he gets, the easier he cries. And I like the same thing's happening to me. Like, I watched an episode of This Is Us with my wife the other night. I was like a wreck by the end of it.
So you have a heart.
Yeah, well, I try to hide it.
Okay.
It's hidden under layers of Tombstone pizza, buy drinks, and barbecue. But it's there somewhere. But anyway, after Jerick McKinnon had one of those early good plays on the screen, I think it was, he was like, who is that? Because that's not, you know, their normal guy. It's not Clyde. And I said, oh, that's Jerick McKinnon. It's like, the guy who used to play for the Vikings, I really liked him. And that's been his whole career. There's a reason why he got offered all that money from Shanahan. He can play. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
And with precisely what the Chiefs want, they want a guy who can explode out of screens as a good receiver. He can do that. A guy who can shake tackles and has good vision in space. You put McKinnon in a phone booth and it doesn't look great. But in space, on some of these duo things they're running where there's so much space there because everyone's so spread out, his quickness, and he's got good vision in that scenario where he's got a little room. He looked really good. And I don't see why you change it up. I know Clyde's going to be healthy Sunday. And I think Clyde has a significant role in this offense and on this team. I'll forever believe that. But I hope they don't just throw Clyde out there, you know, 80% of the snaps just to do it.
That's my thing. I don't care if he starts, it's perfectly fine, but you can't give him the bulk at this point. I think it needs to be a 50-50 split. And we say this, folks, because Darrell hasn't practiced. We don't think that we see him this weekend is where we're going with that.
Right. And I just don't see a scenario. I know a lot of people really like Derek Gore. I like Derek Gore. I like the way he runs. He's got some good explosion. I think the Chiefs have run him a lot more power stuff between the tackles that they're a lot better at. And I think when Clyde gets those same opportunities, I think he looks really good too. So I really think you should see kind of an even split with Clyde, depending on how healthy he is. If he's still, because he practiced full today, but if he's nicked up, I mean, maybe on running plays, maybe Derek Gore gives you just as much, depending on what you're trying to do. But McKinnon obviously adds something of value. And the type of player he is has more value in the Chiefs offense than he might have elsewhere. The way that he wins fits perfectly. And it punishes teams perfectly for what they kind of want to do when they play the Chiefs, which I was curious, what did you think of Pittsburgh's game plan defensively early? Because
the game plan?
TJ, Cam, save us. That's the
TJ,
game plan.
go. That was the game.
Something that I noticed early, and I've gone back and looked at it a little bit because I thought I was crazy at the time. Their safeties were not doing what safeties have been doing against the Chiefs all season. They were playing close to the line.
Yep.
And I wonder, because I've been thinking about this all week, I think part of the reason the Chiefs struggled out of the gate is they expected Pittsburgh to play them the way teams have played them all year. And Pittsburgh instead came out and played towards how the Chiefs have been playing the last 6 to 8 weeks, which is a lot of dink and dunk, shallow and intermediate stuff. And Pittsburgh was really, I mean, their safeties were like 10 yards off the line. Like I saw it in the first drive. I was like, well, that's weird. Like what? And I don't think the Chiefs were ready for it.
Maybe not initially, but at the same point, this is what they were. They had to learn to not go downtown on you. You're going to give Tyreek Hill single coverage.
Yeah, that was funny.
Top. What are you doing? That's
funny.
why I say lack of a game plan, because it was just redonkulous to me.
Well, right. It's kind of like this idea of, well, because the Chiefs have become very efficient at moving the ball very, very well against conservative looks. Patrick Mahomes has learned to dink and dunk and scramble and do all those things really, really well. So I get this idea of like, hey, they're going to expect us to come out and do what everyone else is doing. What we're going to smother some of those short and intermediate and really get a jump on them during their first 15. Because Andy Reid's first 15 has been killing teams lately. And this week, it got destroyed. And I think his first 15 was built around the expectation of what Pittsburgh would do. So in a way, it was kind of like a really good plan to come out like that. But then it's like, okay, wow, we've gained that early advantage, but you probably don't want to do that for too long. Because like, Mahomes, after a couple of drives, like they're going to keep doing this. They're giving us vertical shots here.
Am I seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah. So all I need is a little help with Watt, because Andrew Wiley, you can't expect him to hold down Watt. All he needs, and no one else really needed any help. I know Brown got beat really badly once around the edge, but overall, Brown did what he usually does on his side of the line, and the interior was good as ever. Hayward had some good snaps, but overall, that interior is just tough. That whole left tackle to right guard is just a tough line. That is like if your game plan is let's get pressure by rushing 4, that's tough against this line. And they, again, Brown will occasionally give up some stuff in terms of that speed rush, but they know that, and he's really learned to time his snaps pretty well, where he false starts like 5 times a game and it doesn't get called. Which Mitch Schwartz used to do it too. So what do I care?
I got nothing.
They don't call tackles for false starting if they hit a half second before, well, not a half second, like a 10th of a second. So, but it's a way he's adjusted to a lack of lateral foot speed, and good for him. Yeah. And so, but like that, I was just curious what you saw, because like it's like they came out saying they kind of galaxy brained it in a good way at first,
but then they didn't adjust when the Chiefs adjusted.
Yeah, and the Chiefs said, "Oh, so we just need to chip on Watt to where he has to go inside. Mahomes will break out, and then we're just gonna."
You give them a little more credit than I was going to, but I agree with you. It was a mix it up. They don't expect, and I think one thing that we've learned all the way back to the last Super Bowl is the Chiefs make assumptions. They make their game plans based on what they think the other team is going to do,
for sure,
for good or bad. And sometimes they don't make those adjustments. And I think last week is exactly what you saw. Is they had to. Are we really seeing?
Yeah,
single high, and we have the opportunity to take shot. Okay,
hey, you're playing cover 3, and your corners are pressing. What are you, the Legion of Boom? Like, what you think that's Prime Sherm over there? Like, who do you like?
Hi, I'm Patrick. Do you really want to do this?
Well, and like the way, and then their pass rush was just, and I get it, they needed to be aggressive, but their pass rush was trying so hard to get upfield. It's like, this is still an Andy Reid coach team, right? And Excuse me. Like I said, I am under the weather. And the Steelers don't have the linebacker group to rush for so aggressively and have the linebackers break down screens. And that's something like the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. Well, there's a lot going on there. Again, it was just such a bad mismatch. But their linebackers are able to, if you don't have to worry about certain other things because you know how badly the Chiefs O-line is going to lose. So the intermediate isn't as much of a threat. You can really break on those screens. I still think the Chiefs would have done well to try a few more of them in the Super Bowl, but that's neither here nor there. But to see that come back and how well it did with McKinnon, that speed matters so much. And so I really do think, whether it's a 50-50 look, however it goes, maybe more, because at this point, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is what he is. He's a good running back with some defined strengths and weaknesses that don't necessarily pop with what the Chiefs ask of their running backs. Jerick McKinnon is a good running back with defined strengths and weaknesses that do pop with what the Chiefs ask their running back to do. And so I'm very interested in what they do there. But at the very least, it gives the Bills defensive coordinator kind of one more thing to look at.
And the reason that I harp on it is because when you go back and you look last week, the New England Patriots, despite not putting up hardly any fight at all against the Bills, were able to complete, I think it was 11 of 12 passes to their running backs for over 100 yards. So there's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
And my big thing is I don't want to see them go 70% McKinnon either, because the more you use him, the more apt he is to come up injured. And I think they have to kind of space it out for another 3 games. That's where I'm at.
And I think he has an important role to play down the stretch. Because he adds something. And I think that's something they should take into consideration going into this offseason. I understand they spent a first-round pick on Clyde 2 years ago, but he's going into year 3. And sure, give him every opportunity, but they've got to start looking for more speed from their backups or the guys that they're going to have sharing snaps. I like Darrell Williams a lot, but there's limitations to what he can do. As good a receiver as he is, he's got great ball skills, but some of those screens don't go 20 yards with Williams. Just because that acceleration matters, the change in the angles matter. You had one example I used because I wrote about this, obviously, on the newsletter, which, by the way, everyone, your support through January has been awesome. So thank you so much. You can go, there we go, right here. You can read 2 articles about the game. The second one being the McKinnon. I might write one more this week. I don't know. I'm not feeling real great. We'll see. It might be about that week 5 matchup and why I don't think you can take much away from it, but that's neither here nor there. Well, maybe it will be here later on as we talk. But with McKinnon, with all that, they need to really examine what they're looking for, because it makes such a clear difference in how the offense can operate.
And it's that he was hurt earlier this season, so they didn't have him. If you're going to have a running back by committee, you have to have somebody that fits that mold, that is that explosive speed guy. And so unfortunately, I think that played into it too, because they didn't have him available. They didn't make a big effort to go out and get another one because they like the guys they have. Okay. But maybe that should have been a bigger priority.
Right. And I get why they like the guys they have. I mean, they're good running backs, but fit and scheme, especially in the running back position, are more important than talent, skill set. Because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a very talented running back. And if they wanted to use him just like he was used at LSU, I think he'd be talked about like a star. I really do. But they're not. So what are we doing? And that's where a guy like McKinnon, and you can find guys like this later in the draft, guys that are that fast, that can really move that way. Crud, I mean, they won't actually do it. See if McCole Hardman wants to play running back, which maybe not Wildcat, because handling the ball at times with him is,
iffy.
It is what it is. Is what you say.
Iffy.
It's iffy. Not as iffy as Robinson, to be fair. When Robinson caught that pass, he was holding.
Just.
You should have heard the people at Arrowhead. Just like, yeah, no! And everyone freaked out. So it got a little quiet after the play, because the offense was working, and Arrowhead does a great job generally staying quiet. And so after the play, it was kind of quiet. I shouted as loud as I could, nice play, D-Rob. Please never do that again. And we were in spots where I think he might have heard me, but he didn't react. It would have been fun. I also yelled at Andy Reid early on that possessions matter more than yards when they punted, at midfield on 4th and short. But it's a big development with McKinnon just because it adds another dimension to the offense. And they've been looking for those dimensions all year. Byron Pringle showing out several weeks in a row now. That's a big deal. Although I still haven't seen them play a team that's been super aggressive with press man coverage throughout the entirety of a game, because that's where he struggled. But it's not like Andy Reid doesn't call man breakers.
Right.
And he knows how to run those. And so it'll just be interesting. I think this Bills game, this is the one. This is you need Byron Pringle or Demarcus Robinson or McCole Hardman, or preferably multiples of them, to really step up. Because even without Tre'Davious White, they're a really good defense that's going to play really aggressive, really physical, really grabby, the type of stuff that's bothered every Chief, except to a much lesser extent, Hill and Kelsey.
Right. And that's Trey White being gone is a significant thing. And honestly, Ross, thank you for your super chat. I'm going to get back to that in 1 second because I have another question queued up here from Aaron that fits this. So Seth, do you think, given everything that you just said, do you think you can expect Pringle back next season?
I think it depends on whether or not they make a deep playoff run and how significant a role he plays. Because if he does play a pretty significant role in a deep playoff run or in a Super Bowl, I think there's a chance he gets kind of like a Chris Conley type deal somewhere that the Chiefs just can't match. And honestly, no matter what happens with the Chiefs, if they, and you and I have talked about this, if they drafted 2 receivers and signed a relatively high profile free agent, I wouldn't be mad, because that's the direction the NFL is tilting. And the more weapons you have, the better off you are. And doing so would allow them to continue to use Hardman a little more creatively. And I think, even though they're very different players, and Hardman is not on the same level, but I think what you're seeing in San Francisco with Debo, I really hope Andy Reid's paying attention to that, because again, Hardman is not in the same league as Debo. No one's saying that.
No.
But the ability to be such a gifted runner with the ball in his hands, which he is, primarily because he's got one overwhelming trait. He's just faster than everyone else. Using him more creatively, that's a good thing, but you're going to need other receivers then to play that more standard role, kind of like what they have Pringle and Robinson do now, but you want guys doing it at a higher, more consistent level.
Yeah, I agree. If Pringle doesn't play a huge role in this postseason run, I could see him being back, because it is about that contract. He's an older guy. He has one chance to get a big contract.
Right, like a D-Rob type thing, because Robinson a couple years in a row, he just hasn't had the market he's wanted. And so the Chiefs have been able to bring in a guy that they trust, who knows the offense year after year after year. And Robinson gets some hate from the fans because of how he carries the ball, and I get that. But there's something to be said for cheap, reliable help that in a pinch can come in and play
make some
okay. Plays. And run that dino route. just that is, I mean, that he's good for 3 touchdowns a year with that thing. It's just, or corner post, whatever you want to call it. And it's just like, that's 6, because they only bust that off. Like, they're like, okay, we really need to score here. They're going to man up. Like, hey, D-Rob, go run your route, man.
Do your thing.
Man, he's good at that route. And that is his thing. But anyway, I saw this super chat and I thought it was kind of interesting here.
And folks, we're going to move to answer your questions in your super chats. So don't be frustrated if you haven't had it done yet. We are going to get to them all. We're going to run through them pretty quick.
Let's do it.
There's a good stack and I need to get done on time.
Yes, let's do this.
Yeah. So with the Remmers issue, Niang's injury, and Wiley moving on, that's the only asterisk I have for you, Ross. Would you think that the Chiefs should consider a high draft pick, meaning a top 100 on a right tackle?
I would. I mean, here's the thing. They've shown that they can identify guys who can play adequately at right tackle. They're they feel very close to having an argument for the best O-line in the league. And I understand you got team like Trent Williams is the gap between Trent Williams and the next best left tackle, I think, is maybe higher than any other position in the league, except maybe Aaron Donald. But I would say the gap between Aaron Donald and Chris Jones is smaller than the gap between Trent Williams and the next best left tackle. That guy is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I get that. So there's better players out there. But the Chiefs, if you go left tackle to right guard, I don't think there's a better line in the league. I like Wiley just fine.
I can get with you.
Yeah. I like Wiley just fine, but it would be interesting to see them really kind of double and triple on a strength.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. I could see them going a little bit lower. I don't think that they go with a top 100 at right tackle. I think they try to do something again, get an athletic guy on day 3. I'm not convinced that they don't bring Wiley back again, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, they
I think
very much
he's
might. They
another
like
guy
him a
that they
lot.
like.
Yep.
Mhm.
He's got a
We're
great
having
fit
delay
in the
here.
locker room, and we got to stop agreeing so much.
I know, right? It sucks. All right, fine. We'll move on to Jen. Thank you, Ross. Are you aware that Allegretti got the Angry Runs Award for the weekend? No, I wasn't. I don't watch the show.
Yeah, he did, because he chucked down TJ Watt before getting it. That was awesome. It was a cool play. Big man touchdowns. The stadium went bananas.
Yeah, wait, we'll have a great time. Canadian Chief, thank you. Pitter patter, let's get at her.
Pitter patter, let's get at her.
How do we make Allen a pylon and stop him from running for yardage? It's by sending 5 and making sure they stay in their lanes. Don't leave him a gap.
Right. Yeah, you don't leave him a gap. And that's where, Jones's style of rushing is going to be under a lot of scrutiny. I personally think if you're going to send a 5th guy with how Jones rushes, I think you send him on a delayed blitz and you send him behind Jones just to see, because Jones is going to win. He's going to win. And if he is not disciplined with his rushing, you're going to have Allen coming right through that, and you're going to have a good chance. I don't know how much time we want to spend on it. The Chiefs do have a linebacker who is uniquely qualified to spy Allen because he's faster than him and nearly as big as him. And Willie Gay Jr., we'll see if he plays.
Okay. We'll get there now.
Yeah.
Do you guys think his arrest will be a distraction? I think it already is a distraction, Cole.
Yeah, clearly.
The question is, can they weather it? And what is the fallout? So that said, agreed. The next question from Jaden, thank you. Is Willie mostly going to play on Sunday? He was just released. Right. That's the thought, is misdemeanor charge. No one was hurt. It wasn't a physical confrontation. Property was destroyed. Okay. I get that.
He'll probably play.
I don't think that's my thought as well. I don't think there's going to be discipline right now. Is he going to get fined? Yes. I think that's pretty inevitable at this point. But we've seen players in the same situation play that next week after DUIs, after all numbers of things that are a whole lot more important and destructive, to tell you the truth.
I agree. And I think he'll very likely play. And frankly, from a football perspective, he's very important to what the Chiefs do, especially against a scrambling quarterback. Because Josh Allen with Willie Gay, because Nick Bolton can't shadow Josh Allen sideline to sideline. Anthony Hitchens can't do it. Ben Neiman can't do it. Willie Gay can do it. Dorian O'Daniel could do it, but they're not going to play him.
Right, yeah, because you don't trust him to make the tackle and a number of other things that you might have to do.
Exactly. Whereas Gay, he's the only guy on the roster that I would say can consistent. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed would be a really interesting shadow, but he is a much smaller dude than Josh Allen. Like, quarterbacks are not. Allen's a big, athletic guy, and there's always the threat that you're going to get penalized if you're not careful. So quarterbacks, they're just hard to bring down in the open field. And so Gay is the best player for that job if that's how they go about it.
Absolutely. And the thing is if he doesn't run, you may have to, actually cover somebody. And that's where Willie Gay has the advantage as well. So you have to be able to do both.
Right.
And just to back up for a second, the delay blitz is exactly what I would do too. That's a great idea. And I will tell you this, on his college film, that was the best blitz type that Nick Bolton played. Coming off of delay where he had a clear window.
There is a chance, because Bolton, he can't run sideline to sideline with Allen, but there's a chance that there's at least one play where he absolutely lights him up in one of the gaps with a delayed blitz. And I think that would be perfect for him. I know we got to speed through these.
Yeah. Max, I appreciate you. Please give Dirty Dan a chance to sit out this game. I'm all for that.
Yeah. Go back and watch week 5.
Yeah. There's a reason. Dawson Knox is going to be a problem, folks, even if Dan isn't out there. So let's see how they choose to tackle him, because he's a guy, whether he's scrambling or still in the pocket, that Josh Allen looks for Dawson Knox, and he's had this team's number. So, yeah, you'll see the breakdown on Locked On Chiefs, and it's a big point of mine as well. Okay, I feel like we have to go run heavy this weekend. Can we push anyone to keep Allen off of the field? What do you say? I think it has to be part of it, but do you think that that's got to be the focus?
Nah, because you always give the ball back, and that's the thing. This idea of keep away ball, it doesn't work against the Chiefs and it doesn't work against the Bills, because you always give the ball back. The only way that you might shorten the game by 1 or 2 possessions if it works perfectly and they never score. like quickly. Excuse me. That's assuming Mahomes and company never have quick plays on their own. All that does is limits the number of possessions. It doesn't actually keep the ball away from them because you always give it back at the end of a drive. Do what works. If they're giving you some light boxes, yeah, take advantage of them because the Bills can be had in that area. But don't do it just to try to play keep away because that doesn't work. It's not a viable strategy.
And it's funny how similar these two teams are. You got to take the same medicine. Aaron, thank you for reminding me. If you guys want to check out some of the new gear, check out the store. It's linked up in the description of every video, so it's super easy to find. Chris, thank you. Appreciate that. Hope the stream is looking decent tonight. And thank you guys for hitting that like button. It helps people find us, especially this week when all the other NFL fans, are in their normal, what do we do now that we're not in the playoffs? This helped them spine up. Now, Claude asked this on Twitter. I want to make sure I got it up here. So, Damon Arnett signing, thoughts now, but also what you thought pre-draft process. Seth, you didn't look at him pre-draft, did you?
No, I saw people were surprised that he was drafted where he was drafted.
Okay. Yeah, I certainly was. I had him as a late day 2, early day 3 guy. Got destroyed in man, solid in zone, but had a very negative attitude, was not a team first guy, a guy that I wasn't interested in drafting. Now he's been in the league playing for the Raiders. How do you view him? What do you think of this signing? He is just on the practice squad, folks. This is a futures contract. This is not anything that's going to have an impact anytime soon.
Right. I mean, for me, I understand that ridiculous video where he's, telling someone to come around and pointing a gun at your own hand is stupid. Like, he's videotaping himself because it's at the camera. Like, what if that went off? Right. You're gonna shoot your phone. Like, there's your career. Yeah. Like, man, you handle a firearm like that in the firing range and someone will actually hit you. Like, if it's military, if it's civilian, they would. Like, it'd be like, hey, moron, whack. Like, you can't act like that. He's the guy that wrecked like 4 rental cars, and he's a young guy, kind of an idiot, like a lot of young guys. Now, I don't know him personally, but I think we can judge people by consistent actions. Consistently, he's acted like an idiot. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully he has someone in his life that says, dude, you're acting like an idiot. That would be great, right? I mean, stop doing that. Yeah. I would just say the only thing with that, he hasn't really played well enough in the league, I think, that's why it's a futures contract, because he didn't really play that well as a Raider. That's one reason they were so willing to cut him. Plus, they were going through all the rug stuff and they couldn't. And that's the only other thing. Like, Chiefs, read the room a little. Like, on a day where some stuff's going on, wait a few days. Read the room, but whatever. At the end of the day, I think it's a non-factor. I don't think he's good enough to make the roster. So there's another question down here. I think it was from Dan. No, I don't think he makes 53. I'd be surprised. Some people were asking me if he's Ward insurance, and absolutely not. Travarius Ward has been an above-average starter for years. Yeah. Consistent, not gotten in any trouble. There's no comparison in the careers they've had. They're different fruit there. Yeah. Apples and dragon fruit. I don't know. They're strange. Judge, thank you. What's the biggest concern for the Bills defense? Quite frankly, it's for me, and I don't know how you feel, Seth. I don't mean to jump you on every answer here. It's the safeties. We saw Micah Hyde make a great play the first time they met. He had an incredible game last week. Yeah. I think Poyer had like 3 PBUs in the first game against the Chiefs. Like, their safeties, it's Mahomes against the safeties in terms of determining where he can go. And I think he was still adjusting to what he was getting then. I think he's going to see more aggressive, but I still think he's going to see plenty of too high. And I think he's going to be able to pick it apart a whole lot better this time. I agree with all that. Their safeties worried me the most. Their pass rush is deep. Mm-hmm. They don't have like a superstar like the way that the Steelers had too, but they're a little harder to help out any one guy on. So that's going to be kind of interesting. To be fair, I don't think their pass rush is really getting after Mahomes all that badly in the first matchup. I'd really urge people to go back and watch that Week 5 game. It was a weird game. It was really the most early 2021 Chiefs game out there, even more so than the 4 turnover game against the Chargers, because it featured, that game is closer than I thought. When I rewatched it and there was no longer any emotion, no longer any kind of dread over how the season was going. Chiefs were down 11 when they picked the ball off at midfield and early in the 4th, and Clark got called for a reprehensible roughing the passer penalty. So, and that was after, a pick 6, Tyreek Hill drops a first down, And instead, it's pick six the other way to kind of blow the game wide open. And so the safeties are a big concern, but I think that pass rush is at least kind of interesting to think about because it's a little harder to provide help when you've got multiple good pass rushers as opposed to one or two great ones.
I think it's a good rotation. I don't see anybody dominant there, though. Rousseau, Epinesa, Hughes, and even Ed Oliver, they all had multiple pressures last week. Like they were getting it done. It doesn't mean that they can do that against Patrick. And I don't mean to not give the O-line enough credit, folks. The Chiefs O-line, I think, is better than the Patriots line. So I just don't see that as a direct come over to this game.
Right.
But Rousseau did have that incredible interception last time they met.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So there's something to be said there.
Yeah. That got taken advantage of against the Chargers as well. They're a bunch of good pass rushers. I'm not sure that's going to be. I think that safety play is a much bigger deal.
Yeah, I agree. Bill, we are concerned. It's a disadvantage if Willie's not out there because of what Allen can do with his legs. And honestly, I think the whole thing's a little bit distracting. I know that he got out and he should be available for practice tomorrow. We should have a better read on it tomorrow. Maybe we'll hear from Coach Reed. I don't know what the schedule is for the pressers tomorrow, but we'll find out. I think that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Adam 6, have you had the time to watch Allen versus Too High? Is there a defender that you trust to spy Allen? Can you actually take him hard enough to stop the QB runs? Like we said, it was Willie. I have not watched anything specific on Allen and the way he attacks shells.
I haven't either. I just know with Allen, he's right now, his QB rating is higher than I think anyone else's against pressure because he still works so well out of structure. He's still not a guy that's necessarily dicing guys up within structure. He does it, just not as well. It's not like I'm saying like he's bad. I don't want to do like what people did to Mahomes for years, right? I do think that what I have seen from him in just kind of limited snaps is when there's pressure with 4, which this isn't groundbreaking analysis. It really breaks down for him a little bit more, but the other thing with him that differentiates him from Mahomes, and this is why I'm curious if you see that many too high looks from the Chiefs, blitzing can work against Josh Allen. Pressure can mess with him. Now, sometimes he's an awesome quarterback, so sometimes he'll still beat it. But it's not like him and Mahomes aren't built the same against the blitz just yet. Now, Mahomes I think has a little more experience than him, and whatever. But you might see Allen reach that point. But really, Mahomes reached the point where anytime they blitz, I'm like, idiot, and it's coming. Allen doesn't seem to process it pre-snap quite as well because you see free runners. Now he's so gifted and so calm under pressure. He does a great job with it that he often can beat that rusher one-on-one and buy time, but he does not seem to set up his protections as well. That's something I think that's more important than the too high question with him.
And I think if you look back, I think Snead had a number of pressures in that first game. And I think it is going to be on Snead and Matthew because I think they will be sent to make sure that they rush with containment in mind.
Yep.
That's going to be important.
And
exactly.
Because they didn't against Burrow.
Right, exactly. And the big thing about the scheme of how you rush when you are going to blitz, I like the sending the delayed backer. I would do that some. I would also send 3 linemen and run a replacement where you're sending a DB, but you are putting another player back there. You're going to get some big plays out of that, in my opinion. So I'd love to see like the zone type drop Melvin into space and send Tyrod in his place or something like that. So you guys can see a number of combinations. Thank you, Adam. What's the difference between Mahomes and Allen? Over the years, I've seen Allen's mechanics, his ball placement get better, but haven't really seen that with Pat. Is his improvement more mental?
Yes, but there was a lot less ground to cover. Mahomes' ball placement and I mean, in terms of mechanics, Mahomes just plays the game uniquely. But Mahomes' ball placement was so far and away better than Allen's when they first started that, you're seeing there's obviously going to be a lot more gap closure there because Allen just had so far to go. Yeah.
And that was the thing is coming out it was accuracy was the number one complaint about Josh Allen. And you guys know me. I'm a huge Allen fan. I had him very high in that class, if not number 1, if I remember right. So it is just about the progress that he has made in catching up with Patrick, whereas Patrick was already there. Now it's about Patrick not having to do the no looks, not having to do things. It is about the mental side and the decision making. Thank you, Kev. Appreciate you. Callie Chief, how are you? If Weiler were to go down, do you think that they would flip Tooney to right tackle and plug in Allegretti at left guard?
No, I think they'd put in Long at right tackle at this point.
You think so? I haven't seen anything about how healthy he is. Maybe that is the answer.
He did dress for the game Sunday.
Oh, did he? Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yep. Yeah, he was there on the sideline. So I assume that's probably the route they'd go. I wonder if you'd almost be better off putting Brown at right tackle. And no, I don't think switching Brown from right tackle is the way to go. Tooney can play anywhere though. It's not like he had an all-pro performance at left tackle because there's just limitations, but he was good.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get the last few here. Bill, how much authority does Patrick have to change the plays at the line of scrimmage? Do you think Andy restricts him to in that part of the game sometimes? I actually don't. I think they have 2 plays on at all times.
Yeah. I think Mahomes has similar authority to Alex Smith that he can kill. And then he can call adjustments. But I do think Andy Reid is always – I don't think Andy Reid's ever going to coach a quarterback that he allows to be Peyton Manning and just run the whole offense. Right. Because no one's going to do a better job of that than Andy Reid by and large.
Yeah. It's uphill at that point. Chiefs Nick Spang, I hope everything's good for Willie as well. And tempers get out of hand sometimes, especially with your significant other or whatever. But hopefully he can learn from this and not get in a situation like that again. Appreciate the super chat.
And be thinking about her and the kiddo as well. That had to have been a scary thing. Yeah, regardless of what happened. Yeah. And I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but it sounds like it was a scary thing.
Yeah. Aaron, thank you. If you guys would like and sub and do all those good things that help us, we would appreciate it. And as we grow the number of rogues and roguettes in here, and here's roguette number 1, Miss Holly Mitchell. Thank you again for all the support.
Oh, wow. Thanks,
not
Holly.
Only tonight, but all the time. You have a favorite ask though. Wish me luck, send good vibes, etc. On Sunday, something might happen that I've been wanting to happen for a long time, besides beating the Bills. Sorry to have it vague, but don't want to jinx it. Okay, well, here's fingers crossed and good wishes and stuff, and Bills game 2. So I know you're thinking about that. So yes, very much good vibes. Ali. Yes, I will not, but I'll be sending good vibes. I am not a preacher.
Don't worry, guys, I'll get them.
Yeah, someday, right? Okay. Miss Holly, thank you very much. And I do hope that, especially if you've been waiting for it for so long, I hope that you get a Chiefs win and what you're looking for. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Jaden, do you think people are giving the Bills too much credit? They only beat 500 teams this season, Chiefs and Patriots.
They're a really good team, and that's all the credit they need. They're a really good team. Are they as good as, destroying the Patriots and around? No. No one's that good. I don't know if the Chiefs are as good as the demolition of the Steelers. I mean, they caught opponents on bad matchups, and they took the Patriots by surprise with virtually everything they did. I mean, Devin McCourty said so after the game. He's like, everything they did surprised us. And we've seen Belichick, who a lot like Andy, he makes a game plan and he thinks he's exploited some stuff. And when he guesses wrong, and it's not really a guess, that's an insult to Belichick. But we've seen a couple of those games between Reed and Belichick where Reed caught him by surprise. And those are the 40-20 wins at Arrowhead, that kind of stuff with Alex Smith, where he didn't see it coming. He talked about that. I remember later on, the first time you saw that essentially like almost like a slot wheel route into a go from Kareem Hunt when they were the first guys to really in the pros start sending their running backs vertical. Belichick talked about that. He's like, geez, we weren't ready for that. And they had huge plays on it. Yeah. So they deserve credit for being a really good team that can beat the Chiefs because they've done it. But again, go back and watch that week 5 matchup.
And they're hot right now. You got to give some credit to momentum.
Yeah, they're hot. They're playing really well, and they're not scared.
Yeah. No, and that goes a long way. Just a couple more here, folks. Judge, what's the plan to deal with all the potatoes? I don't know what the potatoes are.
Buffalo Bills fans are bringing sweet potatoes to the stadium. It's like a good luck thing. I don't know. I think it's fun. Like, I let's stop being so offended by things opposing fans are doing. Let's have fun with it. It's goofy. Not that you sound offended, Judge, but it's fun. They're a tortured fan base. Some of them are schmucks, I'm sure, but a lot of them are really nice people. Let's all have fun with it. Talk some friendly trash and hope the Chiefs win by 40.
I say make pies and serve it to the Bengals fans when they come next week. Adam, thank you for the support. As always, Bills have only beaten 2 playoff teams this year. When they punch in the mouth, they'll fold like cheap tables. Smash that like button. Please smash the like button. And smash the Bills. I hope that that's true. That'd feel awesome. Like the momentum they're riding right now, I feel like they're going to be a little bit more resilient than that, but I certainly agree. If you can get them up on them by 14, you can squeeze them and you can put them to that test. I personally like Josh Allen. I think he will respond to the test in a positive way. I can't say that about the rest of the roster.
Absolutely. You still are the boogeyman to this team. They beat you earlier this year, but you are, I think, a few big plays from getting some of that old crap. Here we go again, coming back.
When I miss Therese, Baba Yaga, that's what it is. You are John Wick. I'm nervous for this game. I don't want the season to potentially end on Sunday. Someone please hold me and tell me that it'll be okay. Jack, it's going to be okay. Let me do this.
It's going to be all right.
It's going to be okay.
It
Patrick
will.
has your number. It's perfectly fine.
And Jack, I just want you to know that you're a Chiefs fan, but you're so much more than that. And you don't need them to win. You want them to win, but you don't need them to.
Now I'm going to start crying. You hit me right here.
Yeah, been watching This Is Us.
DT, we'll know more about Willie tomorrow. He should be at practice, as I understand, and we'll let you know when we do. I think Dan is going to do a live stream tomorrow. If I can join him, I will. We're going to go back to an official game plan like we used to do. I know it hasn't been that huge this summer, but you're going to see Roguehead Huddle, and you're going to see a game plan tomorrow because it's a playoff game. We're going to have fun with it. So tune in tomorrow. Thank you all for the super chats and the support tonight. Miss Holly, thank you. Big contributor as always. Gooch and Stevie tomorrow. You don't want to miss the huddle. And then, we'll roll. We should see Sean this week. I hope you guys are excited. I'm looking forward. This is going to be a barn burner. So I'm pumped for it. Seth, I hope that you start to feel better as well, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm
sure I'll be fine. Or not. Okay. What do I know? I'm not God.
Okay, say hi to your missus. Chicken soup is what I'm saying. Okay, folks, have a great night. We'll have post game and the whole 9 yards and all the normal stuff. So you guys have a great night. And we'll talk to you later.